Hello and welcome back to some more PSGL highlights. Today we are in France for a very wet qualifying session for the French Grand Prix. I believe this is round 4 of the season, and I think you'll see in the standings that come on screen in a minute we are somehow in third, which is quite incredible really. But in terms of this qualifying, this is our first run and we catch up to the back of Lee Finley, so it's sort of ruined the end of our run a little bit. But yeah, it's raining again, which is quite interesting. I can't say I'm disappointed when I see it rain because I'm usually fairly decent in the wet conditions, but we'll see how this qualifying session unfolds. But we will bring the standings up on screen now, and you'll be able to see that, yeah, with the third somehow, just about third in the championship in the driver's side, and in the constructors we are second, 1 point behind Williams, me and Sparks are. So yeah, it's looking quite good, to be honest. Very much a lot more than I expected coming into the season, so let's hope we can continue the form. But we skip on to about 5 minutes left in the session, and we find ourselves all the way down in the P13. I've not really got a good lap in yet, and as you can see, even this lap, it's been fairly scruffy. We're only about 2-3 tenths up on a time that's, that's going to get us not even the top 10, I don't think. We found a little bit of time coming through this last sector, but we're going to pit because we were pretty sure that wasn't a very good lap, and we shall pit for put a fresh set of wets on for one final run, which we do now. So this is it then, final run. We've got Lee Finley in 16th on the Inters, which is very interesting, but I can assure you that was not the correct decision. But here we go then, on to our final qualifying run. It's all or nothing down in 15th position, trying to spot the braking point for turn 1. It's very difficult to see in the wet conditions around this track, and we took it extremely cautiously. As you can see, look at the delta. We've already pretty much messed this lap up. 3 tenths down, nearly 4 tenths down as we come through this right-hander. But thankfully, from now on in, we need to absolutely send it and just try and gain as much time as possible, because there is nothing that can save us other than trying to gain as much time as we possibly can. A bit squirmy on the exit as we lose a little bit more time. We're about 10th and, well, just under a tenth and a half up coming onto this main straight now. We need about, I think the poles are 41.0 or 41.1 at this very stage, so we're looking for a good second improvement to be anywhere near the front. Middle chicane was quite nice. Decent-ish exit. We're about 4 tenths, 4.5 tenths up as we come through the second sector split. Now we're actually going purple, so the second sector was definitely much better than what we did the first. Going into this last sector now, we just need to keep it together, but we still need to make quite a lot of time up to get anywhere near the front of the grid. 6 tenths up now. It's all about just keeping the rear end in check and being as smooth as possible through this last sector, and obviously in the wet conditions. 9 tenths up now, so this is looking, not too bad actually. If we can get these last 2 corners hooked up. Going through the last corner now, a very tricky hairpin down to first gear. Just get the rotation and try and take it easy on the traction. We are about a second up now. Where's this going to put us on the grid for the race, as we'll see going across the line in a minute. It's provisionally P4. And as you see, when the session ends in a second, that does actually end up being P4. So despite the very large mistake in the first sector, we do get away with P4, which is very nice. But we're skipping to the formation lap now. Everybody, well, inside the top 10, I'm pretty sure, apart from the leader Dario, who's gone on mediums, they've all gone on hards. We're just going to try and do the hard medium strategy, which I'm pretty sure is the fastest. But as you'll hear in a minute, when the AI takes over, a few wheel issues. Oh my god, my wheel's turning full up, right. Whilst I'm about to start the race. Oh my god. Yeah, so this is a weird thing with the PS5 and the wheel, but we'll forget about that and go on to the 5 red lights as they go on now, and they go out, and we get a fairly average start, I would say. I think it's pretty average all around. Domi gets a slightly better one, so we took into the station with Blizzard. As Domi tries to go up the inside, we just about hang it around the outside, and apparently we had a collision with Blizzard there, which must have been very, very minor front wing contact. But yeah, we've maintained position, which is always good off the start. We've got, as I said before, we've got Dario in first position on the medium, so he's going to definitely want to push and try and break the gap. But for now, I was very happy to follow Thyman and Blizzard around. I knew from practice Blizzard was very, very fast in the race. So if I could just stick with, I was fairly confident that we'd probably pull away from a few drivers behind. So we'll see as we continue through. But the first lap, obviously, all about maintaining position, just making sure to not make any mistakes, because this is where it's going to cost you the most time. But going back onto the wheel issue, yeah, sometimes when I'm turning and the AI takes over, the wheel sort of keeps the force feedback in, and I was basically having to hold off force feedback off the line then, which was quite difficult to do. But anyway, going to the last sector, we turn in here, and the back end just completely goes, and yeah, as you can see there, that's a nice Tokyo drift, which is somehow just about hold. That was very scary. I thought I was going to go around there. And unfortunately for Domi, he lost position out of that from avoiding me, so I apologise to him. But that's allowed Juice through, the championship leader at this stage. He's up into P5 now, and annoyingly, as you can see, the gap in front has gone to 1.1 seconds, so it's critical now that we get back in the DRS zone. If we're not in the DRS, I'm fairly confident they will just pull away, and that's any chance of any sort of podium gone. So we've got quite a bit of battery, and we're going to burn it all on this lap just to make sure we get into the DRS zone. It's very, very crucial. So yeah, this is one of those sweaty laps where you just need to get on with it, unfortunately, and get the gap down. We have done that already pretty well. I'm fairly sure Thyman was conserving, from what I watched on the stream after the race. He didn't use a lot of ERS for a lot of the first stint, so I think he was definitely conserving it, which is very helpful for us. I think if they'd both pushed then, they might have been able to break the DRS, but thankfully we are just about within 9-8 tenths. So that's good, and it should prevent Juice from getting too close to us behind. But skip on to lap 4 now, and as you can see, we have the purple in the top left corner from Casper, who started on the softs. I think he started down in about 14th, 15th position, and he's gone for a very interesting strategy starting on the soft, so he's going to be massively quicker than everyone on track at this stage. We're not going to fight it, we're just going to let him go, because it should come back to us later on. I'm pretty sure he's going to have to go onto the hard tyres, so we should hopefully be able to re-overtake him later in the race. But yeah, he goes through. I'm just going to let him do his own race, and we're going to do ours. And it also gives us a nice bit of slipstream and DRS to save a bit of our ERS up ourselves. And that was that. I mean, we skip on to lap 9, now, and unfortunately Casper's tyres sort of died and didn't really make any more progress. And annoyingly for us now, Thyman and Blizzard have broken the DRS, so we're going to make the move on Casper now, since his tyres are completely gone, up into P4 once again. But now we have the issue of 1.6 second gap, and with the ERS we have now, I don't think we will be able to close that gap completely. So it's going to be very difficult. I think we're going to have to just run our own race from this point in. As we skip to lap 14 now, Blizzard has pit, and Thyman is on a very fast in lap because he's pulled the 2.2 second gap this lap alone from about 1.5. So he's using all his ERS that we don't have. And as you can see behind, we've got Juiced attacking us now. He's going to go up the inside into this fast right-hander, and I think there's a slight bit of contact, and he's sort of sent into a half drifty spin type thing. So make what you want of that, but nothing has come of it, and I feel like I left him enough space on the inside, but it's just a weird contact model on this game. But we're going to pit on lap 14 anyway. A lot of people pit lap 13, for a bit of an undercut, but I wasn't sure whether the tyres would last any earlier. So yeah, we're going to come in. Blizzard and Matthias and Sparks, they definitely all pit the lap before, so we'll see where they come out. But as long as we're around the same sort of position, it should be looking good, and hopefully we can get ourselves some DRS rather than running in clean air. But we get held here by the Williams very slightly of Juice who comes in, so we have lost a little bit of time to Thyman here, and I think you'll see on the exit it's actually quite close to Matthias and Sparks who were behind, who were in about 7th, 8th position at the time. So I was slightly worried that I might have lost quite a lot here. And you can see the gap in front. So Blizzard is 1.7. So annoyingly, once again, we've not got any DRS to help us, and we're going to have to be the ones pushing using our ERS, especially here, because I was fairly confident that Matthias is going to have a good run and try and make the overtake whilst he could. So we used quite a lot of overtake here. Went up to about 15% before turning it off. and that holds off any sort of move from him. Lap 15 then, and you can see very, very vaguely in front, Blizzard is fighting with Casper, who pitted very early on for the hards. So we need to take advantage and try and catch up to the DRS as they run side by side through turn 1. It gives us a very, very good chance of catching up. The gap comes down to 1.1, 1 second now. And through this fast right-left chicane, we do get into the DRS, which is a bit of a lifeline for us, and it allows us to catch back up to the lead train. So it sort of resets it a bit and allows us to save a bit of the battery, hopefully, for the final part of the race. But this is definitely, now we've all caught up to the hard runners of Dario as well at the front. This is where it all gets very interesting. But lap 16, we make a bit of a mistake there on the inside curb, and that allows Matthias to get a very good run on us coming into the last corner. I think you'll see his arrow pop out in a minute. He's going to go for a very ambitious move down the inside. There's a bit of contact, and he fairly authoritatively forces his way through, and he goes up into P5. So we're going to set up for P6, and hopefully we're allowed to get him back at some point through, if there's any contact or anything up ahead. So yeah, P6 is for now, and skipping on to lap 19, Matthias goes for another very audacious move on Casper. There's a bit of contact, and he does force Casper off the track, but he gets the move done. And we now have to set our eyes on Casper, who's on the hard tyres, so we really want to get past him whilst we have the tyre advantage on him, rather. So by the end of this race, I wouldn't imagine we have a massive advantage on Casper's hards, so we really need to make the advantage early, as we get a very good run through the chicane, and we're going to use the 30%-ish battery we had. You can see Casper's lights flashing, meaning he's got less than 10%. We have a lot more ERS, so we're going to send it around the outside. Casper's going to hold this one on the inside and going into the fast right. With the extra grip, we should be able to get around the outside, which we do. Casper puts his nose back up the inside, but we chop him off and don't allow him back through. So that's one hard runner dispatched of, and as you can see, 2 cars ahead of us after Matthias and Blizzard is Dario, and he was the pole sitter on the start on the hard, so he is another hard runner that everyone needs to dispatch of. As Matthias goes for another very late move there, bit of contact with Dario. He doesn't make the move stick this time, and we used quite a bit of overtake out of here. I thought I was going to get quite a good run, but unfortunately I didn't. In hindsight, that probably wasn't the best thing to do, but yeah, it's all definitely kicking off now, and there's definitely opportunities, and we are still within the lead train, so it should allow us to have many opportunities when they arise. As we've got Lee Finley off doing his own thing in the background there, but we skip now onto lap 22, and you can see the big train now. Matthias is light flashing, he's got less than 10% ERS. We've managed to save a slight bit, about 25%. But as it comes to the last corner, this is one of Onyx's favourite overtaking maneuvers. He goes up the inside, hits into Dario. We get a very good run here. We're going to go up the inside of Dario, and we've got a lot more ERS than both of these. So we're going to top back into the slipstream, pull to the outside, and we should make a very nice move here fairly easily, quite a far away ahead, going into turn 1 then, and we should have P3 sorted, but there's contact, and that's our race over. Just like that, it can go from very good to very bad. Safety car deployed, and that is pretty much any chance of us doing anything in this race gone. And to make matters worse, I wasn't really concentrating at this point, and you can see down the straight, speeding under the safety car. Not that I was massively fussed at that point, but that drive through pretty much cost us any chance of any sort of points by the end of this race. So yeah, that's that, annoyingly. Getting into a bit of a collision that wasn't nothing to do with me really, but we're going to watch it again. As you can see, Matthias goes up the inside, which forces Dario off the track, so he get in fairly easily, and you can see the light flashing on Matthias's car. So we go around the outside, and at this point the move's pretty much done, but Dario has other ideas. He goes back up the inside, and you can see at this point here, you can see the arrow on the left hand side of Dario up the inside. Now I could either turn out of this corner and probably allow Matthias and Dario back through, or turn in and just hope that Dario doesn't make contact, or he's the one that comes off worse. And obviously I decided to keep my foot in, and that ultimately put me in the wall. Yeah, there's nothing I'd do differently. It's just how, unfortunately, some of these things end up when it gets a bit messy. But we come to the pits and we just retire because with that drive-through, we've got no chance of any points. So it's an unfortunate way to end. But once again, it was quite a good race actually. Quite enjoyed it, and to be found at the front once again is what I want to be doing really. So you can see the results on the left-hand side there. Thyman wins the race, so good job to him. But yeah, it's just annoying because we've lost a lot of points, constructors-wise and drivers-wise, that we really had easily. I mean, we had the top 4-3, I'd say, easily in that race. So it's unfortunate, but you know, these things happen, and ultimately we move on to the next one where we can hopefully claw back some points. So that's those highlights. Hope you enjoyed them, as much as it ends on a on a bad note. But yeah, thank you very much for watching them, and I'll see you next time for some more highlights.
3-4 got points. Should be easy enough to overtake anyway.